Are you ignoring the silent warning signals your body sends? Learn why health experts warn that death starts in your legs, and how a simple dietary tweak could be your lifeline. If you're 60, 70, or 80, these age-defying secrets can keep you active, strong, and free from unexpected dangers. Discover the surprising link between leg health and longevity. His wife will leave you utterly amazed. Listen closely as his incredible journey unfolds. I always feared that my marriage would be doomed from the start, that I might be left a widow in the prime of my youth. The whispers and teasing from family and friends only amplified my anxieties. They joked that if my old husband happened to pass away a few years into our marriage, all his wealth would eventually be mine. Those words, meant in jest, struck a deep chord of uncertainty and vulnerability in my heart. On the day I was about to leave as a bride with my new husband, a surprising twist unfolded. My cousin, who had long harbored a desire to marry me, could no longer contain his disappointment. With a mocking smile, he said, "You rejected me, so fate has decreed you marry this old man." His tone was playful, yet cutting, leaving me mortified and confused. After all, the man I was about to call my husband, George, appeared to be in his 30s, a stark contrast to the fact that he was actually 50 years old. This peculiar contradiction raised a barrage of questions in my mind. How could someone as mature as 50 look and carry himself with the vibrant charm of a man half his age? As the wedding day approached, my inner turmoil grew with every passing moment. I questioned whether I had made a grave mistake by choosing a life dictated by money and convenience rather than love. The reality of the situation unsettled me deeply. I couldn't shake the image of George, a man who, despite his age, possessed an aura of youth and vitality that both enchanted and unnerved me. His gentle demeanor, his kind words, and the subtle twinkle in his eyes all hinted at secrets I was desperate to understand. In the quiet moments before the ceremony, my thoughts turned into a whirlwind of suspense. Was it possible that beneath that youthful appearance lay a lifetime of untold stories and hidden truths? The contrast between his apparent age and his real age became a mystery that both repelled and intrigued me. I found myself oscillating between dread and curiosity, wondering if my fate was sealed by this inexplicable paradox. I recalled my friends' and relatives' remarks, each one echoing the possibility of a future defined not by love, but by the cold calculus of wealth and survival. As I stood on the precipice of a new life, my heart pounded with a mix of fear and anticipation. Every beat carried a silent plea for answers, a desperate hope that this union might reveal more than just an arrangement of fortunes. In that charged moment, with the world around me buzzing with excitement and expectation, I resolved to uncover the true nature of the man before me. For if George's secret was hidden in the delicate balance between age and youth, then I needed to learn it. For my peace of mind, for the sake of our future, and for the promise of a life that might yet defy the logic of time and circumstance. From the very first moment, it was clear that the union with George had been orchestrated by my father's careful hand. George was not merely any man. He was a renowned, affluent businessman, well known to my father's circle. The first time our eyes met, there was an inexplicable spark. George's gaze, filled with genuine warmth and admiration, made my heart flutter in a way I had never experienced before. I couldn't help but envy the fortunate soul destined to be his wife, convinced that marrying such a handsome, charismatic man was nothing short of a blessing. I had always believed that someone like George, who seemed to possess an ageless charm and vitality, would be the perfect match for me, a partner who could offer both security and affection. The idea of being the recipient of his unwavering admiration filled me with hope. I had no inkling that beneath that youthful veneer, there lay a secret that would soon shatter my naive assumptions. At that time, I believed George to be in the prime of his life, radiating the energy and vigor of a man in his 30s. However, life is rarely as straightforward as it appears. My cousin, who had long nursed a secret desire to marry me, had been a persistent presence in my life. I had always dismissed his advances, partly because he had a habit of lavishing attention on every girl he encountered, and partly because I found his cavalier approach to relationships utterly distasteful. His past exploits and numerous entanglements had left me with an inherent distrust of men who treated love so lightly. Then on the very day when the final arrangements for my departure with George were being made, my cousin reappeared with an unexpected twist. Clutching a set of legal documents, he made his entrance with a smirk that betrayed his inner glee. In a tone both mocking and bitterly triumphant, he declared, "You think you are marrying a vibrant young man, but in reality, you're tying the knot with a 50-year-old. How do you expect to keep up with him? You're going to waste your life on someone who can never meet your true desires." His words cut through the festive air like a sharp knife, leaving me stunned and questioning everything I had believed. In that brief, charged moment, I found myself caught between the comfort of my father's arranged plans and the unsettling truth that my cousin had just revealed. His revelation was not merely a piece of gossip, it was a challenge to the very foundation of the identity I had constructed around my impending marriage. The documents he presented were a stark reminder that appearances could be deceiving, and that the handsome man I had admired was, in fact, much older than I had ever imagined. As I stood there, grappling with the weight of his words and the conflicting emotions within me, a deep sense of uncertainty took hold. Would I be able to accept a future with a man whose real age belied his youthful exterior? Or was this revelation just another twist in a complex tapestry of fate, destined to test the limits of my resolve? The questions swirled around me, leaving my heart and mind in a state of suspense and longing for answers. Stepping into George's palatial home felt like entering a world that was both mesmerizing and unnerving, a seamless yet jarring transition from the revelations of my past few days. In the opulent drawing room adorned with exquisite art and antique furniture, I found myself seated with a mix of awe and deep apprehension. It was as if the lavish surroundings were a gilded cage, meant to dazzle the senses while hiding a secret too heavy to ignore. The echoes of my cousin's scornful words still reverberated in my mind, a constant reminder of the age-old paradox that haunted my thoughts. How could a man who appeared so youthful truly be 50? I had once dreamed of a fairy tale romance, where every moment sparkled with unblemished joy and unspoken promises. Now, as I sat there in George's stately abode, a different reality set in. The sumptuous decor, the meticulously maintained gardens visible through tall French windows, and the ambient classical music created an atmosphere of refined sophistication. Yet underneath it all, I could not shake off the lingering doubt. Could a life built on such polished appearances ever sustain the weight of truth and time? My heart quivered at the thought of a future where age, mortality, and the fragility of human existence were hidden behind a veneer of eternal youth. As I waited for George to join me in the room, my mind spiraled with unanswered questions. I recalled my initial terror that I might become a lonely widow, compounded by the unsettling revelation from my cousin. How would I come to terms with a man whose exterior defied the natural progression of time? Was it possible that beneath the charm and the maintained physique, there lay an inevitable decline, a ticking clock that no amount of meticulous upkeep could reverse? The uncertainty gnawed at me, each tick of my internal clock intensifying the suspense of our new beginning. Then, almost as if sensing my inner turmoil, George finally entered the room. His presence was immediately disarming. Dressed in a tailored suit that complemented his graceful demeanor, he walked over and, with a warm smile, began to shower me with compliments on my appearance. For a fleeting moment, I expected him to casually reveal some hidden truth, perhaps to pull out a drawer laden with medications or supplements. But instead, he simply admired me with a tenderness that belied his reputed age. His unexpected behavior deepened the mystery. How could a man of 50 be so effortlessly vigorous, so enchantingly youthful? That night, as the stars peeked through the grand windows and the soft murmur of the house's corridors echoed around us, I found myself oscillating between hope and dread. The sumptuous surroundings and George's serene confidence provided a temporary balm to my anxieties, yet the questions about our future continued to swirl in my mind. I began to wonder if this marriage was a delicate dance between reality and illusion, a constant negotiation with fate, where every whispered secret and every graceful gesture hid a deeper truth. In that moment, my heart resolved to seek answers. I knew that the coming days would demand both courage and vulnerability as I attempted to unravel the enigma that was George. Could I ever fully embrace a life where every sumptuous detail might mask a ticking clock? The suspense of our newly forged bond was a mystery waiting to be explored, a challenge I was determined to face head-on. After the revelations and the emotional whirlwind of the previous days, I found myself grappling with a single, unyielding question. How could George, a man who was truly 50 years old, exude the vigor and charm of someone in his 30s? This question echoed relentlessly in my mind as I tried to piece together the enigma of his enduring youth. I was determined to uncover the secret behind his ageless allure. Sitting in the quiet corner of his tastefully decorated study, I couldn't help but notice every detail of his appearance. George moved with a fluid grace that defied the passage of time. His skin was smooth and unlined, his eyes sparkling with the mischief and energy of youth. Yet here he was, a man who had lived half a century. The juxtaposition of his age and his physical prowess was as baffling as it was captivating. Every time I caught a glimpse of him, I found my thoughts drifting back to that moment when my cousin's mocking words had first planted the seed of doubt in my heart. It was as if every compliment he bestowed upon me was also an unspoken testament to his own secret, a secret that kept him in perpetual bloom. I recalled a day not long ago when, in the midst of preparing dinner, I observed him retrieving a small, unassuming bottle from a hidden corner of the kitchen cabinet. My heart pounded with anticipation as I wondered if this was the key to his mysterious youthfulness. His routine was meticulous. While I expected him to rely solely on rigorous exercise or a disciplined diet, I began to suspect that there was more to it, a carefully guarded regimen that blended modern science with ancient wisdom. His every move suggested that he wasn't just maintaining his physical form, he was actively defying the very essence of aging. As the days passed, my curiosity grew into a fervent need to know more. I started paying closer attention to his habits. I noted how he handled stress with calm assurance, and how his eyes would light up whenever he spoke about his daily routines. There was an undeniable aura of self-discipline about him, a regimen that wasn't just about physical fitness, but a holistic approach to life. In quiet moments when I dared to ask subtle questions about his health, he would smile mysteriously and simply say, "It's all about balance." His evasiveness only deepened the mystery, leaving me to wonder if he had discovered something extraordinary about living a life that transcended the conventional limits of age. The allure of his secret became a magnetic force pulling me toward an inevitable truth. I felt as though each graceful movement and every carefully chosen word was a piece of a larger puzzle that I was determined to solve. Was it a rare supplement, a secret formula, or perhaps an unconventional lifestyle choice that made him appear so extraordinarily youthful? My mind raced with possibilities, each one more intriguing than the last. In this delicate balance between admiration and skepticism, I realized that my journey with George was only beginning. The suspense of his true nature was now a challenge I had to embrace. A challenge that promised to reveal not just the secret to his ageless exterior, but perhaps even the key to unlocking my own hidden potentials for living vibrantly regardless of the number of years behind me. It had been several months since my wedding, and my life with George was unfolding in a way that defied all my earlier doubts and questions. Even though my mind still wrestled with the mysteries of his ageless vigor and the many secrets he held, one fact remained indisputable. George never seemed to suffer the ailments that I, with my youthful energy, often experienced. While I sometimes felt the weight of exhaustion from daily chores or found myself winded after climbing a few extra stairs, George continued his routine with unwavering ease, never once complaining of headaches or leg pain. This contrast was as baffling as it was fascinating, and it only deepened the enigma of our shared life. One particularly restless night, I was startled awake by a searing pain in my legs, a pain so intense it forced tears to stream down my face. The agony was a stark reminder of my own mortality and vulnerability, a feeling that had been lurking beneath my otherwise busy and occupied mind. In a haze of distress, I cried out, pleading for relief. Before I could even fully articulate my fear, George sprang into action, the tenderness in his eyes, so familiar from our earlier conversations and quiet moments of shared vulnerability, shone through even as he quickly assessed the situation. "Take me to the hospital, please. I'm in unbearable pain, I insisted, my voice trembling with both physical discomfort and the fear of the unknown. Yet, with a calm that belied the urgency of the moment, George gently placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "No, my dear, you don't need a hospital. I have a remedy that will soothe your pain." His assurance was firm and comforting, a stark contrast to the anxiety that had just gripped me. Without another word, George disappeared into the kitchen. My heart pounded in my ears as I listened to the soft sounds of his movements, each step a promise of relief. Moments later, he returned carrying a small tray with dry fruits and a glass of milk. It was an unexpected yet deeply personal gesture, one that linked directly back to the many evenings when we had discussed the secrets of his enduring health and vitality. I remembered how he often spoke about his meticulously maintained diet and the special ways he nurtured his body, all of which had seemed almost magical when contrasted with my own experiences of physical frailty. He sat beside me and began to feed me the dry fruits, gently coaxing me to drink the milk. With each bite and every sip, I could feel the sharp pain in my legs ebbing away, replaced by a comforting warmth that spread through my muscles. The room, still hushed by the night, bore witness to this quiet, intimate ritual, a moment when love, care, and an unspoken understanding bridged the gap between my suffering and relief. As the pain subsided, I marveled at how George's unconventional methods not only alleviated my discomfort, but also reinforced the profound trust I was beginning to place in him. In that tender moment, the mysteries of his secret health regimen, the very same that had initially sparked my curiosity and skepticism, took on a new significance. They were not mere curiosities or isolated facts. They were the foundation of a life together, a life where every hardship was met with care, every ailment with a remedy, and every doubt with the promise of nurturing love. After that tender, healing night, my curiosity about George's secret to perpetual youth could no longer be contained. The way he had soothed my pain with nothing more than dry fruits and milk made me wonder about the full extent of his lifestyle choices. In a quiet moment the following day, as the golden morning light filtered through the curtains, I finally gathered the courage to ask him the question that had been echoing in my mind since our early days together. "George," I began hesitantly, "what is your secret? How do you stay so fit and youthful even after all these years?" George's eyes crinkled in amusement, and he flashed a gentle, knowing smile, a smile that hinted at a secret both simple and profound. "My dear," he replied softly, "I don't do anything extraordinary. The answer is right in front of you. If you pay close attention, you'll see that maintaining a healthy life is about balance and consistency, not about miracles." His words resonated deeply with me, yet they left me yearning for more details about the everyday choices that shaped his remarkable vitality. With that enigmatic remark, he excused himself, leaving me with a flurry of thoughts. Moments later, I found him in the study, a room I had grown accustomed to as a window into his private world. I watched as he moved deliberately towards the cupboard, opened it, and retrieved a small box of pills. The labels revealed they were simple calcium supplements, nothing exotic, just the same kind of supplements that anyone might take. Yet in George's hands, these ordinary pills seemed to be part of a carefully orchestrated routine that sustained his seemingly ageless vigor. I began to notice more details around the house. Every meal, every snack, every little habit seemed meticulously planned. The modest yet balanced breakfast, the inclusion of nutrient-rich foods in every meal, and the absence of any heavy, greasy fare pointed to a diet that was both thoughtful and deliberate. It wasn't merely about eating healthy, it was about embracing a lifestyle that treated food as nourishment for both body and soul. As the days passed, my interest in George's daily rituals deepened. I started observing him closely, almost like an eager student absorbing the lessons of a master. I watched how he selected fresh fruits and vegetables from the market, the care with which he prepared his meals, and even the calm, almost meditative way he sat down to enjoy his food. Every bite he took seemed to be part of a ritual, a quiet affirmation that health was a daily commitment, not a once-in-a-lifetime secret. This new focus on his diet and lifestyle was not isolated. It seamlessly connected to the other mysteries I had been trying to unravel about him. The same calm and measured approach that had helped him alleviate my pain now revealed a blueprint for enduring health. I realized that his secret wasn't hidden in some complex formula, but was a product of a life lived with conscious choices. This revelation marked a turning point for me, a moment when I decided to pay more attention not only to his habits, but to my own life as well. Little by little, I began to understand that in the seemingly ordinary details of his diet lay an extraordinary lesson about life. And as I embraced these insights, I knew that this journey into the heart of his daily rituals was just the beginning, a prelude to even deeper discoveries that awaited us in the unfolding chapters of our shared life. Every morning, as the first rays of dawn crept over the horizon, George would rise with a serene determination that set the tone for the rest of the day. It was in these quiet early hours that I first began to understand the true depth of his commitment to health. A commitment that was not limited to his carefully curated diet, but extended to a meticulously followed exercise regimen. Before most of us even stirred, George was already up and moving. He would head outside where the cool morning air greeted him with a crisp freshness that seemed to rejuvenate his spirit. In the soft glow of sunrise, he engaged in a series of exercises that combined both traditional routines and innovative practices. His workout was not the frantic, chaotic routine often associated with younger men. Rather, it was a disciplined, almost meditative sequence. Every stretch, every movement was executed with precision and care, as though each motion held a secret to his seemingly boundless vitality. After completing his outdoor routine, George would return indoors and shift seamlessly into a series of indoor exercises. In his spacious living room, equipped with nothing more than the natural light in his own body weight, he performed a series of calisthenics and yoga poses. His routine was a testament to balance, an elegant fusion of strength training and flexibility exercises. I remember watching him as he moved from one posture to another, his body flowing with effortless grace. There was an undeniable rhythm to his routine, one that mirrored the cadence of a well-composed symphony. Following his exercise session, the next part of his day was just as methodically planned. He would prepare his breakfast with the same attention to detail that he applied to his workout. A glass of freshly squeezed juice, usually derived from a blend of 3 different fruits, would accompany a nutritious meal that included 3 eggs, a non-negotiable part of his morning ritual. It wasn't merely about fueling his body. It was about maintaining the harmony of his disciplined lifestyle. Alongside these, he would consume dry fruits and milk, a combination that he claimed enhanced not just his energy, but also his overall well-being. What struck me most was how seamlessly his exercise routine merged with his dietary habits. Each component of his morning ritual was interconnected, forming a comprehensive approach to wellness that transcended the boundaries of mere physical fitness. As I observed him day after day, I could see how his commitment to early rising and regular exercise played a vital role in his youthful appearance and robust health. His routine was not just a series of actions. It was a philosophy of life, a daily reaffirmation of the belief that age is merely a number and that true vitality comes from consistency and self-care. In those moments, I began to realize that George's secret wasn't a mysterious elixir or an exotic treatment. It was his unwavering dedication to a disciplined lifestyle. His daily exercise routine was the cornerstone of his health, intricately linked to every other aspect of his life. And as I watched him, I couldn't help but feel inspired, a silent promise to myself that perhaps I too could embrace such a balanced approach and unlock a version of myself that defied the conventional limitations of time and age. After witnessing the meticulous discipline in George's daily exercise routine every morning, I thought I had uncovered all there was to his secrets. Yet as dusk turned to night and the world outside slowed down, another hidden chapter of his regimen began to unfold, a secret that would further shatter my assumptions and deepen the mystery of his ageless vitality. For weeks, I had noticed that George's evenings were markedly different. While most people wind down after a long day, George seemed to come alive in the quiet hours before sleep. One evening, unable to curb my growing curiosity, I decided to follow his trail. I waited until the house had fallen silent and then quietly slipped out of my room. As I crept down the corridor, the soft hum of activity drew me toward his study, a room I had always assumed was dedicated solely to reading and paperwork. However, that night, something was unmistakably different. Through a slightly ajar door, I peered in and was stunned by the sight before me. The study had been transformed into a personal gym. In the center of the room, a large screen displayed the figure of a fitness coach speaking with authority and guiding a series of exercises. There, in front of the screen, was George, fully immersed in a vigorous training session that combined elements of yoga, strength training, and flexibility exercises. He moved with a fluid grace and an intensity that defied his years, as if the physical toll of his day was being washed away in this clandestine ritual. Every detail of the setup seemed deliberate. Weights were neatly arranged, a yoga mat lay unfurled on the floor, and even a small collection of resistance bands and dumbbells was organized with precision. This was not a casual workout. It was a carefully structured routine that George performed with unwavering commitment. His focus was absolute as he mimicked the coach's instructions, pausing only to adjust his posture before moving on to the next exercise. The room's atmosphere was charged with an energy that was both electrifying and serene. What struck me most was the stark contrast between his public demeanor and this private display of discipline. By day, he was the picture of calm composure and measured routine, a man whose physical vigor was apparent in every gesture. Yet here, in the quiet solitude of his study, he pushed his limits even further, demonstrating a relentless pursuit of health and perfection that I had never imagined possible. It was as if this secret training was the final piece of the puzzle, a hidden layer that complemented the disciplined diet and morning exercises I had already observed. After nearly 2 hours of this intense session, I saw George conclude his routine with a series of deep, mindful breaths. He then moved to a small cabinet and retrieved a container filled with a special herbal powder. Mixing it with milk, he sipped the concoction slowly, almost ceremoniously, as if it were a potion that sealed his vitality. Watching him, I couldn't help but marvel at the dedication it must take to maintain such a regimen that went far beyond conventional fitness routines. The secret training session not only deepened the enigma surrounding his youthful appearance, but also hinted at the profound philosophy behind his lifestyle. It was clear that George believed in nurturing both body and mind, combining modern fitness methods with traditional wisdom. In that dimly lit study, under the quiet guidance of a distant fitness coach on a screen, I realized that his secret was not merely a physical routine, it was a holistic approach to life. This discovery left me with a sense of wonder and anticipation as I pondered what further revelations might lie ahead in the intricate tapestry of our shared life, and how these secrets might ultimately redefine my own understanding of health, vitality, and the inexorable passage of time. In the following days, as I continued to observe the seamless blend of discipline and mystery in George's daily routine, I found myself irresistibly drawn to the details of his diet plan, a secret ingredient, perhaps, in his everlasting youth. Every meal he consumed was a deliberate act of nourishment, carefully designed to fuel his body and sharpen his mind. George's breakfast was always a marvel in itself. 3 perfectly boiled eggs formed the cornerstone of his morning ritual, a robust source of protein that energized him for the day ahead. Alongside the eggs, he would sip on a glass of freshly squeezed juice, a vibrant mix of seasonal fruits brimming with vitamin D and antioxidants. What truly set his diet apart was his unwavering commitment to wholesome foods. George chose to include an array of foods rich in calcium and protein. He indulged in chicken and fish daily, ensuring that his meals were both lean and nourishing. His kitchen was a treasure trove of fresh produce and organic ingredients, meticulously arranged to offer both variety and balance. Fatty foods and excessive oil were strictly off the menu, as George believed that true vitality could only be maintained by steering clear of unnecessary indulgences. Butter, for instance, was something he utterly despised, while yogurt held a special place in his heart, a tangy probiotic delight that complemented his meals perfectly. It wasn't just the ingredients, but the method of preparation that fascinated me. Each dish was prepared with care, preserving its natural goodness and nutritional value. Observing him in the kitchen, I realized that his culinary habits were as much a part of his fitness regimen as his early morning exercises. He would often explain, with a sparkle in his eyes, that if everyone adopted such a disciplined diet, even a 60-year-old could look as youthful as someone in their mid-20s. This revelation was put to the test one fateful afternoon when my cousin, ever the skeptic, challenged George to a series of push-ups. My cousin, having prided himself on his physical prowess, managed only 20 push-ups before surrendering, drenched in sweat and frustration. In stark contrast, George effortlessly completed 100 push-ups, his movements as fluid and precise as if he were a man half his age. That moment, charged with a mix of admiration and disbelief, cemented my conviction that his diet was not just a routine, it was a lifestyle, a secret recipe for perpetual vigor. Witnessing George's astonishing performance, I found myself inspired. I resolved then to incorporate elements of his diet into my own life, hopeful that I too could recapture even a fraction of the energy and youth that he exuded so naturally. The transformation was gradual, but each healthy meal became a step toward a new version of myself, one where age was no longer a limitation and vitality was within reach through conscious, balanced choices. George's diet plan, with its emphasis on natural, nutrient-rich foods and disciplined eating habits, was more than just a regimen. It was a philosophy that promised not only to sustain physical health, but also to foster an inner radiance that defied the conventional markers of age.